Hi everybody, it's Rose here at Cardinia Life. Welcome to your midday yoga practice. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you're getting a chance to do these classes that we're putting online, whether they're live or at a later stage. I'm not going to play any music. If you want to pop some music on, by all means go for it. So as I said on Tuesday, I don't know what day is what. As I said on Tuesday, your choice of music. So I like to play something in the background quite often when I'm teaching that might be easier listening and I might listen to in the car, or maybe it's something a bit more chilled. So your choice if you want music. When you're ready, let's come to a seated position. I've started with my socks on because I'm chilly. Hopefully you can see all right. So we're sitting soles of the feet together, a little bit of a rock side to side. And then take a big breath in, lift your shoulders towards your ears, drop them down, and let your head just drop forward. Now if this is, I'm not sick, excuse me. If this is uncomfortable, if you use a sit like this, please feel free to find another way to sit. So you might cross the legs, you might use blocks, or if you've got any other type of props, which could be a book, start looking at things in your house like a prop. On the outsides of the legs, anything at all. Let's take the first few moments just to check in with how we're feeling, physically, mentally, emotionally, and try and soften into your breath. From here, you're welcome to stay upright, or if it feels okay for you to do, you're welcome to slowly fold yourself over and soften into it. Once again, props. You could bring a block and rest your forehead. So throughout today's practice, and with any practice at all, it's called a practice because that's what we're doing. Isn't life just to be practice? Always work within how you feel in each moment. So if you feel like working a little bit harder and pushing through a little bit, that's absolutely fine. But if you feel like backing off as well, that's absolutely fine. Just have no judgment on yourself or anyone else. Just see what feels right for you. What I do want you to do, while we're just seated here, I should say, is just try to soften and find a focus, whether that focus is your breath, whether that focus is an intention that you might have set for yourself. Nothing's wrong. Soften your shoulders, soften your arms. Notice any parts of your body that are drawing your attention. And try to soften into those areas. Coming into 3 more breaths here. Long breath in, longer releasing breath out. Once you've done those breaths, just really slowly and gently come up, slide the legs up, maybe place the feet flat and gently rock side to side. I just gobbled down a mandarin and I think it went down sideways. And then we're going to extend one leg out. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to take our legs wide. Take the legs really wide as you can. Now if you tend to curve back, maybe get a folded up blanket or a cushion and sit that under your sit bone so you can just lift yourself and tilt the hips forward a little. Legs wide, they don't have to be straight. You might slide something under them, like blocks, books, cushion. But take the legs as wide as you're comfortable, slide the hands down your legs and fold forward. And this might be how you look. Don't force, just see what feels right for you. Feel that release, feel that opening through the inner thigh, maybe through the backs of the legs, maybe even through your back. Take 3 more deliberate in and out breaths here. And then once you've done them, gently come up, bring the legs up, feet are flat, rock the legs side to side. We're going to come over onto our hands and knees. Let's set ourselves in tabletop, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Come through some rounds of your cat-cow, so as you drop the belly, lift the crown of the head and lift the sit bones into cow and breathe in. As you let the breath go, stretch the back to the ceiling, drop the crown of the head, drop the sit bones. Don't get too caught up with when you breathe. Just let movement and breath happen naturally. Might like to stay with cat-cow, or you might prefer to do some other movements, or even sinking back to child's pose, up to you. We'll come back to meeting tabletop. Extend your left leg out really long behind, right arm out in front. Reach them longer as you take a breath in, pulling that belly button area, that pelvic floor reaching up. As you let the breath go, bring your knee towards your left shoulder and your elbow back towards your right hip. Breath in, reach really long, engaging through glutes as well. Breath out, let's take it out. Slow and deliberate. One more, your eyesight is directly underneath you. Breath in, reach really long. And breath out. Place both hand and knee back down. Straight to the other side. Extend, right leg, left arm. Reach really long, engaging through, pulling everything up. Crunch them to the outside. Reach really long with your arm and your leg. Elbow to hip, knee to shoulder. Let's do one more. Deliberately pulling up through that pelvic floor, that belly button area. Trunk, the glutes. Place them down. Come into some cat-cow. Stretch up into cat, pause in your cat. And then we're tucking toes, sitting back on our heels. Now this is too intense. Maybe don't do it at all. Or if you can do it, but it feels intense, lift up. Having not so much weight, pushing on your toes can help. Or even grab a block. Or a cushion, anything that you've got. Just to lift you up so that it's not such a deep release. Take the hands behind, interlace your arm down. Feel that release through the soles of the feet, the toes. So maybe we're all back out doing that walking again. Let's give a bit of love back to our feet. If you do quite a bit of walking, if you can try to do this a couple of times, try and do it each day for however long you can. It might be a second, might be 30 seconds, might be longer. And if it's just not comfortable for you to do it all, give your feet just a little bit of love, a bit of a massage after you've walked on them. All right, let's come back over. Tap the feet out. Couple rounds of cat-cow. Dropping into a cow as you take breath in, stretching your back up into cat as you release the breath. If you've got socks on, like me, that might be an idea to remove them now. Smoothly as you can. Tuck toes, let's lift up to our first downward facing dog. When you come to your down dog, let the head hang. Be strong through your arms, push the mat away, rotate the upper arms in and under. And knowing that we all look really different in each pose, we're all structured so differently. There's no way we are going to look the same in a pose. So I don't like to focus on alignment so much as feeling what's right in your body. So how I look in one pose and how you look in it will be very different. Just try and be active through. Let's come up really high on the balls of both feet. Bend knees, look to hands and make your way up towards your hands. Whether you walk or jump is entirely up to you. Release the wrist when you get here. Half lift. And release. Sweep up. Really big. Big breath in. Swan dive and release forward. Half lift. Hands land. Stepping back to your plank. Strong. Strong through your trunk. Now your plank can be on toes or you're more than welcome to come to knees. But let's push that mat away. Take a big, big breath in and then slowly lower your whole body to the mat. When you get there, release toes. Just a small back bend. Come back down. We'll sit back into child's pose. Arms reaching forward. From child's pose, take a breath in. As you let it go, curve your back up into your cat stretch. Retuck toes, sit back on your heels. This time we'll release. So remember all the options from before with your toe tuck, you can do it or not. This time we'll release our wrists. Our wrists do so much work. Let's give a bit of love into them. Maybe you're doing a lot more work on computers or iPads, whatever. And then we expect them to work in these positions in yoga as well, don't we? Let's find our way back to our downward facing dog. Bit of a pedal here again is always optional. Come up high on the balls of both feet. Pivot your feet to the left. Outer blade of the left, inner of the right, come to the mat. Keep even pressure on the hands. Next breath in, come up. Gently go to the right. Next breath in, come up. Slow pedal again. Come high on the balls of the feet, knees bend, look to hands. Step or make your way up to the top of the mat. Release the wrists. Half lift. And release. Let's sweep up. And swan dive forward. Half lift. Hands land. Step back to plank. Option to take a flow. So if you've got a regular practice, lowering down through your Chaturanga Dandasana, or slowly coming with me, knees or toes, lowering your whole body to the mat. Releasing toes. And just a baby back bend. Coming back. So if you've got a flow and you're now in down dog, let's all sink to our child's pose and be in our child's pose. Not here too long, take a breath. Stretch that back as you come up into cat. Retuck toes, and let's find that toe squat again. Release your wrists again, a couple of times each way. Maybe each time we come back to interlacing our hands, try the opposite thumb on top, the one that feels awkward, yeah? So you do it your regular way, and the next time, the way that feels awkward. Just for a bit of a mind thing. Good, shaking out. Let's find our downward facing dog. Slow pedal. Come high, knees bend, look to hands. Step or walk up there. Release. Half lift. And release. Alright, let's go. Big breath. And sigh it out, mouth or nose. Half lift. And release. Stepping or jumping back to your plank. Take your flow or come with me. That little scoot forward, that coming through to your Chaturanga Dandasana, your back bend. Coming back over to your down dog. We'll meet in our downward facing dog. From down dog, let's lift our right leg really long and straight as you can. Push that mat away, be strong. Take a long breath in. Float forward so you can touch knee to nose before stepping your foot through. Planting your back foot, reaching up and find your warrior one. Let's adjust our feet if we need to. So remember, we don't have the alignment police here. We don't agree with them. So find the position that feels right for you. Planting the outer blade of your back foot, lifting the inner arches. Turning the hips as much as your body will let you to the front. And engaging through. Some people, this is their warrior one, turned in quite an angle, and that's fine if that's what suits. Take a breath, cactus the arms, feel the shoulder blades, then reach up really big, arms reach forward, float the back leg up. So if you've got blocks or something that you can use, you're welcome to lightly touch the fingers to the blocks. We're engaging through the glutes, we're trying to get our leg, our body and our arms in a long straight line. Set your eye gaze on one spot. Look at me wobbling everywhere. Pushing out through that back foot. Take a long breath in. Big step back, lean back in your high lunge. Breath in, let's straighten everything. Breath out, bend everything. Breath in, come up, turn and fold into a wide-legged forward fold. Let your head hang. Pause here. So in our wide-legged forward fold, check the feet are pretty much parallel to each other. Arches of the feet lift in the outer blades as well. Strong connection in the balls and the heels of our feet. Knees can be bent as much as you need. You're welcome to use a prop, a block or whatever you might have handy. Or if you can reach the floor and lift the sit bones, lengthening through the back of your legs without locking these in, by all means go there. Let the head hang. Let's take one more big breath. As you let it go, walk your hands back towards the top of the mat, towards your right foot, pivot, and we'll step right foot back into a plank. Option to take your flow. Meeting back in your downward facing dog. Slow pedal again. Releasing through. Stay strong, strong through your upper back. Left leg lifts, really long. Lift it up. Eye gaze is back towards that right foot that's down on the floor. Take a long breath in. Float forward, knee to nose. See if you can touch them. And then step that foot through. Help it if you need. Right foot comes down and we lift up to our warrior one. Sometimes when you come up here, I like to release my wrists a bit, depending on how they're feeling. Find the right position that feels best for you in this moment in your Virabhadrasana one. Take a breath, cactus the arms. Another breath in, let's reach forward, float that back leg up, find warrior three, Virabhadrasana 3. Use any props, really focus on lengthening through the arms, the trunk, the leg, but engaging, lifting up through the belly button, the pelvic floor, the glutes. One more breath, then a big landing back. To your high lunge, crescent lunge. Straighten everything up. Bend both elbows and knees. Big breath in, turn, excuse my back. Sink into a wide-legged forward fold. Give the head a shake. Give the head a nod. Connect the outer blades of those feet again. Excuse my back and bottom. Let yourself be in this moment. Let yourself be in each pose, in each moment. One more breath here. And then let's walk our hands towards our left foot, which is the front. Turn, we're in our low runner's lunge. Step that left foot back. Plank. Flow is optional. Then we'll bring our knees down. Sink into your child's pose. And slowly come up. Whether you come through cat is up to you. Retuck toes. Find your toe squat or not. So it could be toe squat, releasing wrists. It could be having the feet flat, releasing through the fronts of your ankles. Let's find our downward facing dog. Slow pedal. Walk it out. Right leg lifts as long as you can. Stretch up through the knee. Just when you think you're as long as you can, maybe there's a millimetre more. Pushing the mat away, being active through both arms. And then let's turn that knee to the ceiling. See if we can get that right foot as close as possible to our left hip. Shine the right knee to the ceiling. Try to keep the pressure fairly even on your hands. But the hips will rotate a little bit. Take a long breath in. Float forward, bring your right knee to your right elbow. See if you can touch it, and then take it back up. Long, bend and open. Really strong. Take another breath. Once again, see if we can touch right knee to right elbow. Remembering to always adjust to suit you. So you could come forward onto your knee to touch your elbow to knee. Take a breath. This time we're going to step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. So landing it, grabbing it if you need to. Now you're welcome to keep the back knee up or lower it. If you lower it, it's a bit tricky. You could fold the mat over. So both hands are inside our right leg. Back knee up or down, blocks, cushions, whatever you've got available, feel free to use them. You might even like to heel toe that right foot out a little bit and come onto the outer blade and use the right hand to push it away. Getting a deep release. Keep engagement through the glutes, engage, pulling up through that pelvic floor region, that belly button area. And be strong. Lizard lunge. Take one more big breath here. And then I'd like you to heel toe the right foot in. Keep the foot on the outside of the right hand. But this time, hug the right knee in towards the shoulder. So feel that activation of the muscles there as you hug the right knee in. Keep lifting up through that left thigh, the left glutes that are engaged and working. Hug that right knee in. Feel the activation of all those leg muscles. In and outer. Take one more breath. Sorry, I think we might have had an interruption, I'm not sure. And anytime you're more than welcome to take a flow, is what I was going to say. Left leg, let's lift it up. Bend the knee and open the hip. Feel that rotation, that opening, but the same even pressure on the hands. Take a long breath in. Float forward, bring left knee to left elbow. Then take it up. Bend and open. Know that you could feel really different each side, I certainly do. Big breath in, knee to elbow. And again, take it up. Long breath, float forward, left foot steps to the outside of the left hand. Grab it and help get it there if you need to. You can come down onto the left knee. We'll then the right knee. Heel toe the left foot out maybe. Outer blade, maybe use the left hand. Blocks, cushions, whatever helps you come into the pose, how it best feels at the moment. Engaging through that right leg as well, lifting up through it. Whether the knee is down or up, don't just dump if you've got it down. That's the right knee I'm talking about. Be a strong lizard. Come into 3 more breaths here if you can. And then we'll bring the left leg in and hug that left knee in towards your left shoulder. Really hug it in. Feel the engagement up through the inner thigh. Keep hugging it in. You've got this. One more big breath, and then we'll push back. Send that leg up, bring it down, float forward, take your flow, or we'll meet back in our child's pose. Do what feels right for you. When you come to child's pose, do whatever feels best with your arms. So whether they stay out in front, or whether you need to do some wrist movement like I am, just sink. Sink into it. And then eventually, let's come back up and do our final toe squat. So retucking toes. Bring your big focus into the feet because I feel that Even without everything that's happened in winter, we tend to lock them into socks, Ugg boots, moccasins. Sometimes we still wear thongs, runners, and they just get forgotten about because they get covered up and they're quite, constricted, restricted. So sitting back or go to whatever suits you best. If you like to join hands and bring them down, feel that opening through the front of the chest, that's nice to do, especially if you're doing this live and you've spent the morning on the computer or laptop or whatever. Probably the same thing, computer and laptop, aren't they? Eventually, let's bring our hands back in front, release those wrists. A couple of times each way. Come over onto hands and knees. Tap out those feet. Retuck toes. Lift back up to your downward facing dog. Come high on the balls of your feet. Look to hands. Make your way up to your forward fold. When you come to forward fold, releasing the wrist, let the head hang. Next, in breath, half lift. And release. Sweep your arms up, keep them upright. Keep them upright, lift the toes of your left foot, I'm going to turn to face you. Ground them down firmly and float your right leg up into stalk pose. Soften through the shoulders, bind your drishti, that's your focus, internal and external, to help you balance. Lift up tall, so we're grounding down but we're lifting tall. Float the left arm to hold an imaginary wall, maybe you've got one. Right hand comes inside your right knee, take the leg out. And bring it back in. Take it back out. Bring it back in. And one more, take it out. See if you can hold it there. And wobbling is normal. Then bring it back. Bring it back. And let's hug it in. Give it a big squeezy hug like it's your favourite thing. And then arms shoot forward, leg shoots back into your warrior three, Virabhadrasana 3. Eye gaze is set, take a breath. Big step back, landing your crescent lunge. Straighten both arms and legs. Bend both arms and legs. Take a breath in, come up. Turn to your wide-legged forward fold. Once again, excuse my back. Let your head hang. So I'm going to show you this backwards and then I'll show you the other way. We're going to walk our hands towards our back leg, our right leg, and come into our Skandasana. So bend into the right knee. Your heel might lift like mine. Come onto the heel of your left foot. Hands can be resting on the floor or maybe they come into prayer if you can balance. Take a breath. Let it go. See if you can lift and float to the other side. Bend into the left knee, come onto the right heel. Feel that release through the inner thigh. Take a breath. Come back into the right leg. And turn straight away. Bring both hands either side of the left leg. Walk the hands forward. We're in our low lunge. Step back into plank. There's a flow there if you want it. You do not have to. If you're starting to fatigue, maybe don't do it. Come back to your downward facing dog. Pause in down dog just for 1 or 2 breaths before coming high on the balls of your feet. Bend your knees and making your way to the top of the mat to forward fold. When you get to your forward fold, releasing the wrists. Half lift. And release. Let's go to the other side. Arms sweep up, breath in, ground down in your right foot as you float the left leg up. Soften through the shoulders, set your eye gaze on one spot, lift up. Right hand reaches out, touches that imaginary wall. Left hand comes to the knee, take it out. Bring it back in. And again, take it out. Bring it back in. Let's do one more. This time we'll hold it there. Stand tall. Movement challenges your balance. So if you're wobbling, if you're coming in and out of it, that's fine. Come back to the front. Hug both hands around that knee. And then shoot the leg back, arms forward. Finding warrior 3. Knowing that you can use any props that will help you. Long breath. Big step back. Crescent lunge. Breath in, straighten. Breath out, bend. Knees and elbows. Breath in, come up. Let's turn and find our wide-legged forward fold. Adjust the feet, fold down, let your head hang. In your wide-legged forward fold, just as the very first time we did it, knees can be bent, you can use something underneath your hands. You could even have a coffee table here actually. depending on where you're practicing. Feel that length, feel that letting go. Try to have the weight of your body evenly distributed over the balls of your feet and your heels. Let's walk our hands towards our back, our left leg. Bend into the left knee, come onto the heel of the right. You might be like me and need to balance on the floor. You might be able to balance with both hands up. Let's come and walk into the right, come onto the heel of the left. And then let's come back into our left. Bring the hands either side of the right. Walk the hands forward. Come to your low runner's lunge. You have that option again to flow. Let's meet in down dog and sink to child's pose. Toes together, knees together or apart, arms however suits you best in the moment. And let yourself sink. Let yourself be. Let's eventually find our way to our downward facing dog. When you get there, slow pedal, and then we'll lift our right leg up really high. We're going to step the right foot to the outside of the right hand, left foot to the outside of the left hand. So you're going to sink down into a malasana. So adjust so that you can sink into malasana. So if you're not sure, it's a little low squat. In body balance, they call it Hindi squat. So we're down nice and low. You could prop yourself with books, blocks, anything at all. Take a moment to soften down through the shoulders. You might have your heels lifted. Your version could be somewhere up here, could be heels lifted. Just find what feels best. And if this is really uncomfortable, maybe sit how we started in seated star, where we're sitting with the soles of our feet together with our knees splaying outwards. If you've got Bakasana, Bakasana in your practice, crow pose, feel free to have a play. That's where hands would come down. I'm not going to demo the whole thing. Come onto the balls of the feet. Knees would come into backs of arms. Eye gaze is generally roughly 30 centimetres forward. And then float one leg up, maybe both. Have a play. At home, might be the time to play and cushion up so that you can have a go with it. If you do Bakasana, release the wrists. Wherever you are, let's come back to settle into our final 3 breaths here. And eventually bring hands down, lift sit bones, heel toe feet in, let your head hang. So in our forward fold, feet can be together or apart. Bend the knees as much as you need for belly to touch thighs, and then wrap your arms maybe behind and hug yourself in. Become a bit internal. Give yourself a hug. It could be something like this. I'm sure, everybody, if we had a screenshot of all of us, how different we would all look. But we look different anyway, don't we? So why would we look the same in any pose? Feel the weight of the head hang down and lengthen through the back of the neck. Eventually release the arms, half lift, and release. Let's sweep up, big breath in. Keep the hands up. I'm going to turn to face you. You can face any way you want. We're going to ground down in that left foot, lift the right knee like we did before. Left hand holds an imaginary wall, right hand comes inside of the knee, take the leg out. Bring it in. Now you can stay with that we did before, or maybe you can pistol grip the big toe, extend the leg out in front, and then take it out. Or maybe you enter it by taking the leg out to the side. And this is called, I can't remember, I feel like it's Padangusthasana or something, hand to foot. Ooh. And if you're looking at me, I'm not going to help you balance. So find a fixed point. You can see that I'm falling in and out of the balance, which is absolutely normal. Breathe. Let's, wherever you are, see if we can do 2 or 3 more breaths. And learn to laugh at yourself. It's okay. That's what I do. When you're ready, gently bring the leg back in, hug it in again. Give it that hug like we did before. And then kick back into your warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3, nice and long. Take a breath, land back in your high lunge or crescent lunge. Breath here, hands land. Option to take your second last flow, you do not have to take it. Do what feels right for you. Watch out for blocks if you're going to headbutt them. Peel back to down dog. So wherever you are, let's meet back at the top of the mat in our forward fold. Releasing wrists, releasing wrists. Lifting toes, spreading them. In our forward fold, be strong. Strong through the legs. And imagine your feet are connecting firmly into the earth. So yes, you've probably got a mat or a floor or something between you and the earth, but imagine you've got that. That strong grounding and sinking into the earth and really connecting and drawing up through the earth's energies. Feel the support from the earth's energies. I like to imagine, if you've been in my classes, you know this, a waterfall. I think it's what we call a waterfall in some practices. So the legs, the hips, that's the strong cliff face. And then we've got the upper body, the trunk, the head, neck and shoulders, got the water falling over the waterfall. So we're strong in this pose, we're not just dumping, but then we're noticing if there's any resistance, and like water does, you find your way around it, which is fine. All right, next in breath, half lift. And release, arm sweep up. Big breath in, ground down through your right foot. This time we'll lift our left. So just do the opposite side to what you did before. And to stalk. Float the right hand to hold the imaginary wall. Left hand comes to knee. Maybe you stick with this one. Maybe your toes stay on the floor. Maybe you can pistol grip and take the leg out. Do what feels right for you. And trees and people and things blow in the wind. We're not doing trees. I don't know why I said trees. Keep on with your breath. So we need length. We want length up through that supporting right leg. So this could be your version of what I'm doing right now. Try not to do the hip out. Try and be up tall. Keep on with that breath. See if you can take 2 more breaths wherever you are. Breath in, breath out. 1 more. Eventually bring the leg back in front. Hug it in. Big squeezy hug. Kick back. Find your warrior 3. Virabhadrasana 3. As you let the breath go, land back into your high lunge. Last chance or option to take your flow in this practice with me today. Let's all meet back in our downward facing dog. So whether you go through a flow and pause in down dog for a while, eventually we'll meet in our child's pose. Sink and release. Bring the hands either side of your head if you're down in child's. Push yourself up. Come around to sitting. Maybe having a block or something handy. Taking your legs once again out as wide as you can, like we did at the start. Adjust the sit bones. Remembering that you could prop yourself up on a cushion, fold a blanket, anything at all. Knees don't have to be straight, they can have a bend. Just try and lift. Have a block or something one side of you. So I'm doing my right side. Rest the right elbow on that, have that block or prop on the outside of the leg, sorry. Rest the elbow, and then rest the side of the head, and then drape the other arm over the top. Keep a strong connection with both sit bones, so try not to let the left sit bone, the opposite sit bone lift. You can lower your prop or remove it if you don't need it. Concentrate on letting that opposite arm, so for me it's my left, drape, and just feel a gentle release and opening down the side here. Once again, we're all different. Some people like a strong release, some people like a more gentle. Just see what feels right. As long as it feels okay, that's okay. Just see what feels right for your body. And some people's bodies have got this, I was going to say amazing, but really just this extraordinary amount of flexibility. And that will come down to lots of things, their bone structure, their way of life definitely, but their bone structure will ultimately stop them in the end. All right, let's gently come up and we'll go to the other side. So, hope that we haven't had interruptions. I realise the phone is not on Do Not Disturb, so I'm sorry if we have. Hanging over. And then eventually we'll release. Bring the body forward, folding as far forward as you can. Once again, you might look like this, which is fine. You're welcome to use a block. Just do what feels right. Let's slowly push ourselves up. Bring your legs in. Now, you can have your legs long and straight again, or you could bend them in. Wrap the arms behind and curl yourself in, like a caterpillar in a cocoon. Letting yourself fold over. You might like to use a block here, or whatever else you've got available to you. Don't feel that you have to go to the full expression of any pose, just find what feels right for you. And fold. In this pose, feeling a release maybe up through the backs of your legs, your lower back, right up through the spine, maybe even around the shoulder blade area if you're reaching your arms forward. There's a little quote, a little saying that says about the caterpillar. The caterpillar thought its life was over and then it became a butterfly and learnt to fly. Maybe that's what we're all doing at the moment. Huddled into our cocoons and our butterflies will come out again. Let's slowly release, slowly come up. Vertebrae by vertebrae, it's a deep forward bend. Bend your knees up, hands behind, gently let your legs rock side to side. Eventually letting both legs drop to the left and consciously drawing that right knee down towards the floor. Feeling that release. So let the left leg drop as far as it will and then consciously draw the right. Don't force it, just actively draw it down. Take a big breath in up through the middle and we'll go the other way. Consciously drawing it down. And then gently let it come back to middle. We're going to come to our backs. So we'll have soles of the feet together, just like we did at the start, but we're lying back. Now if that's tricky to have, I'll have the box handy, I'll show you. If that's tricky to have the knees splaying outwards, if you've got props, don't have to be blocks, they can be anything, you could slide them underneath the outsides of your legs if they feel like they need support. I find crossing my ankles I have the opposite ankle underneath the lower part of the leg, and I find that is a good bit of support, and my legs aren't as wide as well. Sometimes I actually sleep like this. And then hands, maybe a diamond shape over the belly, maybe they're at wider cactus, or even coming into that full extension above your head. So pretty sure in body balance this is called extended butterfly, but let yourself sink and be. I know there's some words that are thrown around in yoga a lot, but that's for good reason sometimes as well. Or usually it always is, I should say. But let yourself surrender. That's a word that I hear used a lot, but let yourself fully release, surrender, and let go. And sink down in this pose. Soften in the hinge of your jaw. Soften throughout any parts of your body that are resisting. And if you need to make an adjustment, please do so. So from the caterpillar into the butterfly. Keep sinking into your breath. If you set an intention at the start, or if you were following your breath pattern, come back to that. Come back to that focus of being in the now. We're always in the now. Even if we think of the past, we're thinking of the past now. If we think of the future, we're thinking of the future now. So let yourself be now. Try to let thoughts go and just try to be the observer of your breath. Soften. You're welcome to stay as you are, or you're welcome to extend your legs out long and find your position for Shavasana. Now, Shavasana is, I feel, the most important part of the class, if you want to pick an important part. We've moved our body, so it's nice to let our body just be now. Just let it be and let the juices, the energy lines flow. And give yourself time to be still as you possibly can. Closing down your eyes, coming into that space behind your eyes, letting yourself just pause. Just pause. Every time your mind starts to wander, maybe come back to the breath, or maybe come back to these words I'm about to say to you. Try and bring your focus into them. Of all the paths you take in life, try and make sure a few of them are dirt. It's just a nice little quote I came across the other day. As I said, we're grounding and earthing into that ground. I think we need that. And now I'd like to read this little poem from St. Francis de Sales, I think it is. Have patience with all things, but first with yourself. Never confuse your mistakes with your value as a human being. You are a perfectly valuable, creative, worthwhile person simply because you exist. And no amount of triumphs or tribulations can ever change that. Unconditional self-acceptance is the core of a peaceful mind. Start to bring some gentle movement to fingers and toes. Maybe let the thumb skim across the tips of your fingers. Then start to stretch, wriggle, doing whatever feels best for you in this moment. Before eventually rolling to one side and making your way up to a seated position. Try to Have your eyes closed, try and stay a little bit internal for a little bit longer. Have that patience, like that little poem said, that gentleness with ourselves. When you sit however you're comfortable, arms rest however you're comfortable, but eventually bring the palms together. Feel that touch, that human connection, that human contact, which is there at any time. Anytime you can come to that. Touch of one hand to the other. Try to really notice it. Let your thumbs lightly touch your third eye, your lips, and then bring them to rest in your heart centre. Can I say to you, lovely people, namaste. Thank you so much, whether you've joined live or at a later stage. I hope the filming wasn't interrupted. We're so lucky to have this platform that we can share with you, and we love feedback. As I said the other day, instructors love to know what you want, because we're here for you. That's ultimately, I hope, why everyone is an instructor, for you. It's not our workout, it's yours. It's not our class, it's yours. We're just here as the guide, as the teacher, to nudge and encourage, but not to dictate how you should feel or look. So please give us feedback and stay safe. Soon we'll be able to be back together again. Keep tuning in. I think tomorrow morning you've got Sarah for Pilates. She's filling in for Julie. And then you've got John to do an interesting home circuit. Thanks everybody.